What's up, Yins? It's Car Dad Bill back at you this week. We have a 2021 Hyundai Veloster N. You hear that? Let's go for a ride. What's up, Ian? Standing outside the Veloster N, standing right behind me. Let's take a walk around the outside and see what we like. All right, folks, here it is, Veloster N. This is like the performance version of the Veloster of the past. This is one of those cars that they've taken and they've made it a performance version. They've given it a turbo. They've given it an 8-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. They've given it all the touches. Look at the brakes, big calipers, big wheels, 19-inch wheels. Look at the skirting along the front with the N logo up front. The skirting goes all the way along the back, along the side. Gives you some N trim right here. Back to the wheels, back to the hatchback. Cool thing about this car is it's actually a 3-door. This is actually a door, but the other side does not have one. Back here, N logo, Veloster logo, huge dual exhaust pipes that sound great. You'll hear those in a second. And then to get back here, look at the wing, by the way. You gotta look at the wing. Giant wing. Back here, that's how you open the trunk. Definitely a little race car, little go-kart. LED lights up front, aggressive grille, LED daytime running lights, LED headlights. Definitely a cool little race coupe. Let's hop inside. Guys, I'm gonna fire this up so you can hear it. And it just has a, listen to that exhaust. I mean, it means business, that's for sure. But look at all the cool interior appointments you have with this. So you have your buttons up here. These are the drive mode buttons. So you have your sport, your normal, and your eco mode. And notice the exhaust kind of goes away in the normal and eco modes. Sport mode brings that exhaust note back. This is like your race setting. Up here, typical screen, touch screen with different functions down here between the different things. I love the neon looking display that you have there. Your media, you go back and forth between all this stuff, and it's pretty quick. Now look at this, the setup. Look at those icons. Those icons have a great look to them. They're like 3D neon. It's pretty neat. Back up here we have the N shift knob, the N seats. These N logos actually light up at night. Really cool effect. Look at that, the blue seat belts. And then you have this blue light that runs through the car at nighttime over here. Now here, it's plastic, plastic, plastic. Your Infinity sound system down here. So overall, it's a pretty plain and ordinary interior. Definitely race inspired. Look at these seats, the bolsters on these seats. It's very supportive. Bolsters on the sides as well, on both sides. But there's nothing really out of the ordinary here, besides the fact that it's the N. You have different settings for your drive mode. You have your normal settings over here, your start and stop button, your paddle shifters. The steering wheel has the same kind of layout as most others with the modes here, your phone controls, your cruise control stuff. Now this button here, NGS, it says it's not met right now. NGS stands for N grin shifting, and we'll talk about that as we go for a ride. And in fact, let's do that. Before we leave here, let's take a look at this trunk though. I would be remiss to not show you the trunk. Holds a backpack, and that's about it. There's your speaker system. This can come out. It's actually just connected here, connected down below there and up top. You can take it out. That's your trunk. All right guys, before we go on the ride, there's a couple things I wanted to go over with you. This is the 21 Veloster N, chalk white exterior. It comes with a 2-liter turbo, twin scroll turbo, 275 horsepower, 260 pound-feet of torque. That's mated to an 8-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. And that exhaust that you hear back there sounds great. That has a variable exhaust valve. So when you shift it between normal mode, sport mode, and the racing mode, that's what happens. It kind of opens up the valves and makes it a little bit louder. 19-inch wheels all the way around, LED lights, red brake calipers, Infinity 8-speaker sound system inside here. It's not terrible, and with the hatchback design, it has really good sound. I'm averaging 22 miles per gallon. I can actually find that out while we're driving, if that's accurate or not. I think it's pretty close to that. I'm averaging 21.6, so 22 miles per gallon is about right. This has the N exclusive equipment, so the N seats, the N shift knob, the N floor mats, the sill plates, the exterior equipment, some of the stuff on the outside. It's all N exclusive stuff. And then that NGS button. Let's go for a ride and see what that's all about. All right guys, so I got it in the N mode, the driving mode, which is kind of like the track version. If you're in like another car, like a BMW or something like that, they have the track version, and then they have the sport mode. This is like the track version, which means that your electronic stability control is turned to sport. It's not turned off all the way. There is a button down here you can turn off traction control, but that's not a smart thing to do, especially in a front wheel drive car. You want to have a little bit more control with that. But listen to that exhaust. That exhaust note is great. It rides really, really rough. No matter what mode you're in, it's riding rough. That's just the way this car's made. It's definitely not a smooth riding car. But that's kind of what you're after, right? Like, this car is supposed to be, back in the days, back when I was growing up and was 16 looking at cars, you could buy a Civic and you could make it this. You could put a turbo in it, put the brakes in it, put the exhaust on it, and make it something like this. But now you can buy this from the factory, and it's pretty cool. The Mazda I was in last week is like a toned down version of this. It still had an exhaust note, still had a nice intake note, but this thing, it just sounds great. I hope you can hear that on the video, because it revs up, and then when you let go of the throttle, it burps and it backfires through the exhaust, and it crackles and pops and makes all kinds of cool noises. But I'm gonna take it for a spin here. Basically, what you're getting in this is a harsh road racing car. I mean, it's a fast, well-balanced, quick off the start, quick handling. It's tuned up. I mean, it's a Veloster, but it's tuned up. So that's what you're getting. You're not getting a comfortable riding, you know, luxury coupe. You're getting a kind of aggressive, loud coupe with 3 doors, so you can get in the back a little easier than you would in a normal coupe. And it has all of the stuff already done. I mean, everything's finished. You don't have to do any tuning work to the car. Hyundai has done that for you. And what's better than coming from the factory like that? I don't know. But that's what you'll find. You'll find flat steering, flat handling, super quick around bends, pretty quick off the line heading up to the highway. And when I'm gonna get on the highway here and I'm gonna show you the NGS button, the N grin shift. And what that means is you get 20 seconds of full power basically to pass somebody on the highway or to make a move on the on-ramp. And that's where I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use it on the on-ramp, getting onto the highway. And I'll get back to you when I get to the highway. Another thing I like about this is it does have different personalities between the drive settings. So when you have it in normal mode, the exhaust goes away, you don't hear it as much. The steering gets really, really light and like easy to use. When you flip it over to sport mode, the steering gets a little bit stiffer. The exhaust note comes back. The shift points get a little bit farther along. The suspension feels like it tightens up a little bit. When you flip over to eco mode, everything goes silent. The steering gets extremely easy to steer. The softer ride shows up. And by softer ride, it's a very small change in ride comfort. You're gonna have a hard ride when you have 19-inch wheels and low profile tires. But then you switch over to the track mode. And there it is. Pops and crackles. The steering now is super stiff. It's very hard. It's hard to maneuver in like a parking lot in this setting because the steering gets tightened up a lot. And that's good for when you're driving aggressive and you're driving a little bit faster. You're on the highway, you're on a track, for instance, and you need to enter corners correctly. You can kind of, it allows for slower steering. And that's kind of what you want when you want to drive a vehicle like this kind of fast. You want to have your inputs be a little bit more deliberate and a little more dedicated. Be on the highway here in a sec. Here while I'm in traffic. And the other thing that's really, there's another feature about this car, and it's in a lot of cars that have these DSG transmissions, these dual clutch transmissions, is that when you're driving along in the sport mode or the track mode, the N mode, and you're approaching corners and you're hitting the brake, it'll blip the shift for you. It'll get you into the gear you need to be in quicker than you can do it. Now, if you have it in your paddles and you're in your paddle shifting actively, that's great. But it's really, I mean, that's fun, and that's what some people like to do. They like to have control over it like that. But like this car, the technology that's behind this car is really, it's really cool, and it actually works really well. Like, why not let the car perform for you so you can keep both hands on the wheel, not worrying about when you're shifting? I think it's a cool feature. So we're getting on the highway here. I don't really have a lot of room because there's other people on the road. So we got to keep it kind of tame. But when we get on the highway, I want you to hear this NGS button. It gives you a flash in the gauge, it tells you that you're in that mode. It gives you 20 seconds of passing. Pretty aggressive. Definitely aggressive. Pretty cool. And here we are at highway speed, so you can kind of hear the interior noise or the lack thereof. It's not too bad. You can definitely feel the road and you can hear things. but it's definitely fun on the highway. It's absolutely fun. Because you can kind of drive at any speed you want and handle the bends. Like, doesn't matter what bends you have coming up, it's gonna handle them. It's definitely a fun car. I don't know that I would drive this every day. In fact, I know I wouldn't drive this every day. It's just too rough of a ride. It's too aggressive overall. You know, Sunday evening, nice day, you want to hop into the car and drive, that's fun. And that's what this car's for. It's for fun. It's a fun car. I give it thumbs up. But it's definitely a specific car. I'm not going to drive this every day. It doesn't have all-wheel drive. It's a little too boy racer for me. Now, if my kids were a little bit older and they were looking for a little performance car like this would be a perfect car for them. But it's not for me. I want to touch on a couple things before I get to the highway. First thing is, a lot of car reviewers and other blogs and whatnot out there are comparing this to the new GTI, is this the better GTI? And I don't know. It might sound better. Some people might think it looks better than a GTI. It looks pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. But is it really a new GTI? I don't think it's quite as refined. A lot of fun to drive, don't get me wrong. Sounds good. Handles corners. I mean, it really does handle corners. But I just don't know if I can break the mold and say that it's better than the Volkswagen GTI. It's like a legendary vehicle, hatchback. I don't know if it beat it. It's close though. Last thing I want to mention before we wrap this up is the price. You hear it downshifting and blipping through the gears? It's awesome. So the MSRP on this is around $33,000 with the N package and everything that I mentioned before, as far as the appearance stuff, like the shift knob and all that, comes to $34,755. So for $34,000, you can get yourself a tuned up 3-door coupe with a hatch. So I guess it's a 4-door coupe. Front wheel drive, turbocharged, averaging around 22 miles per gallon, just under 300 horsepower. You get all the bells and whistles, heated seats. This one does not have heated seats, let me correct that. This one does not have heated seats, but it does have Apple CarPlay and Android. It has a nice sound system, it has the navigation system built in. It does not have a sunroof, just because it has that stiffer design. So for 34 grand, you can get yourself a finished off sports coupe, turbocharged sports coupe. Doesn't have a manual transmission. This one does not have a manual transmission. But I give Hyundai a round of applause for a job well done on their Veloster. I was actually out this weekend and I saw a guy that had a Tiburon, a Hyundai Tiburon, and he looked at this and he thought, man, this was way cooler than the Tiburon. And I kind of agree. Like, they've taken this car, which was kind of a weird car to begin with, and they've made it super quick. They've made it kind of attractive looking on the outside. I give them a thumbs up. But this is Car Dad Bill signing off for this week. Real cars, real people for real life. Please subscribe to the video. Please tell your friends, like the video, should leave some comments. And I will talk to you guys next week. Thanks for watching.